Okay, so good evening everyone. My name is Saloni and I am lead UI UX designer. So today we are going to talk about UI and UX for developers. So you might be wondering what this session will help you with. The main goal is not to turn you into a designer, but to show you why understanding user experience will make you a better software engineer. So in this course, in this session, we will look at why experience matters as much as code, and what designers actually do in their day-to-day work, and what practical tools like templates and component libraries and design systems they use. So let's begin. So let's start with something we all have done. Like we all might have uninstalled an app at some point because either it was confusing or it was too slow to use. It might have been difficult to navigate through the application, and simply it might have been frustrating to use an application or website. So I would like you all to take a second and think about the last time you have uninstalled an application and what might have been the reason to uninstall it. Now, forward, I'd like to share that it wasn't because the app crashed or had a bug. Most of the uninstalling reason would have been that the experience using it was just the experience or user experience of the application did not work for us. And that brings us to the core idea of this talk, that users don't seek your code, the experience of your product that matters to users. Moving forward, so let's make this concrete with these two applications. So if you see the application A, there are all the information on that application, but it is very much content heavy. It has too much text. It is not easy to navigate through the information that has been provided. Whereas on the other hand, we have application B, which has clear interface, limited information that needs to be showcased upfront, and the other information is hidden under the actions icon. So the purpose of this is both of them are serving the same information, but one has a clear interface, whereas the other does not have that interface. So this tells us that technology builds products, but experience is what builds successful products. Now let's understand what exactly do we mean by UI and UX, right? So UI or user interface is everything the user sees, like buttons, typography, icons, colors, layout, all sort of those things. Whereas UX or user experience is everything the user feels, like whenever user uses the application, they will ask like, is it easy to use, or is it confusing, or is it fast or frustrating, or is it enjoyable? So these are the ways we can differentiate UI and UX. So we can say with a simple example that UI is a steering wheel, whereas UX is the driving experience. So you can have a beautiful steering wheel, but if the car doesn't drive well, that beauty doesn't matter, right? Now, why should developers care about this? So the answer is because developers make hundreds of UI decisions every single day, often without realizing it. So decisions like where does this button go? What does this error message should say? Do we show a loading indicator? Like how do we validate this form? How does navigation flow? Does this work on mobile? So every one of these choices shapes the experience. And that's why I personally like this quote. A feature is only complete when users can use it successfully. Not when it complies, but when someone can actually use it. Now, what does UI UX designers actually do? Most people think that they make things look pretty, but that undersells the job significantly. Actually, a UX UI designer defines user journey, screen layouts, navigation, design systems, accessibility, responsive behavior, consistency, and user research. In other words, they just don't decorate software, they design how it works. Now, none of this would be possible if only one of the person is working, like if only the designer works or only the developer. Designers and developers do different but complementary work. Like designers understand users and developers build functionality. So, like for example, designers can create wireframes and developers write the code. Designers design interfaces, whereas developers integrate APIs. Designers plan navigation, whereas developers connect the backend. Designer creates the design system, whereas developers implement the components. So overall, great products happen when both sides collaborate. None of this would happen in isolation. Now, here's the reality a lot of you are living. Like, what if you don't have a UX UI designer on your team? Now, this is incredibly common thing to happen when you are in a college project or when you are attending a hackathon or when you are in a startup company or doing a freelance work. Now, if that's you, the advice is very simple that don't invent everything from scratch. You can use proven solutions and you do not have to be in a design team to build something that feels like well designed. You just need to know where to borrow from. So, what do you borrow from? So, there are three things that can become your best friends as a developer. Templates give you ready-made layouts like dashboards, logging, screens, CRM, landing pages. Then there are component libraries that can give you ready-made UI pieces like buttons, forms, cards, dialogues, tables, all of those components. Then there are design systems that can give you uh, like the rules to tie all of this together, like colors, spacing, typography, and components. So what you have to do is you have to build smarter, not from scratch. Now, I would like to share like what are the tech stacks that industry actually uses. So for CSS, there is Bootstrap and Tailwind CSS. For React, there is Material UI, SetCN, and Design. For Angular, there is Angular Material, PrimeNG, and NG Zoro. And for full design systems, there is Google's Material Design, Microsoft's Fluent, IBM's Carbon, and Apple's Human Interface Guideline. So most of enterprise applications are built exactly on this tech stack. Now, let's see all these into four rules where every developer should uh, remember and utilize it in their daily uh, work pattern. Like you have to keep it consistent because, and you don't have to create five different button styles across one application. Then you can keep things simple. For example, don't make users think about how to do something. Then something very important, that is you have to make it accessible, because it should be easy to read through colors. There should be keyboard navigation, and the application should have proper contrast. And finally, give feedback. So wherever any action takes, like user needs to know what is happening in the application. So that you can do by giving loading state, success messages, error messages, or showing the progress, right? And let's see some of the common mistakes that developers make. Like usually they will make tiny buttons that are really hard to tap, or there will be inconsistent spacing all over the application. There might be too many colors being used. Then there might be places where we do not find loading indicators. The responsiveness or the different screen size layouts might be different. Then there might be confusing forms, right? So most of us have built at least one of these at some point, and honestly, that's fine. And it is how we learn. I personally have made mistakes when I was learning, right? So the best takeaway would be small UI mistakes quietly break big user experience. Lastly, combining everything together. So what we all have understood by now is that users don't see your code, they experience your product. UI is what users see, right? And UX is what they feel. And you need both of them combined. Then designers architect how software works, not just how it looks. And the best products happen when developers and designers collaborate together. So if you don't have a designer in your team, borrow from templates, component libraries, and design systems. And above all, stay consistent, keep it simple, and make it accessible, and always give feedback. So thank you so much, everyone. If you have any doubts, I'm happy to answer your question. Okay, I think the session has been fruitful for you guys. Whoever wants to like see the things later on, they can go to, I think, the video and the other libraries and the templates that we talked about will be shared with you guys after the session is over, like within day or two. Yes, Simon, it is okay to use same color for the website, only one color for the website. But you still have to use a secondary color as black or white. About mixing colors, I mean, you can mix, but it is more like you can use it as a gradient or something, or you can use two colors at a time, but not too many colors. Otherwise, it would be not very good UI interface. All right, so just ending the session here. Thank you, everyone. You all can drop